Oh, hi. Hello, YouTube. This is Magnolia Mo, and you are watching my channel. I've had this particular subwoofer in my system for the last year and a half or so, and it's in the rear of the room, um, along with my SB-16 Ultra, which is in the front of the room. So I've used dual subs. So I said to myself, wouldn't it be a great idea to actually take this sub, put it in the front right there, and review it in a two-channel setup along with my B&W 702 S2s, and as a standalone sub in a home theater setup. I'm pretty sure this is going to perform really well, but I just want to kind of prove it out, and put it through some tests, listening tests, movie tests, and pull some take some readings as to how it does as a standalone subwoofer in a system. I'm fairly positive if I had two of these, one in the front or two in the front and or one in the front, one in the back, whatever the case is, it would still be a great setup to have, because I do know that this thing can dig very deep. So without further ado, let's get on with some of the specifications, okay? So what's in the back of this subwoofer? You can start from the top. You have your SVS SoundPath wireless audio adapter that plugs in there. So I did consider, using that, adding that to my system, but I believe in hardwire connections, so I stayed away from that. But you can, if you do not have um, ability to run, a dedicated RCA cable into the sub, you can use their wireless arrangement. Now, what I've heard from other reviews is that it does work really well. So if that is an option that you want to choose, you could do that. And then going on over to the side here, you have your low pass filter, you have your phase, and then you enable the low pass filter, and then you hit your plus minuses to kind of adjust where you want the low pass filter to be, and then for volume, again, you press the volume and then you use the plus minus buttons to adjust that. For phase, you hit the phase button, and then you got your phase that goes from 0 to 180 degrees. I use the SVS, the app, basically, to do all of that. Um, Initially, I believe I did use the volume control when I was setting up my when I was running Odyssey through it. And then around the back over here, you got your inputs. So you got your LFE input, which is most subwoofers you'll actually see the left input as your LFE. SVS does it a little bit different. They got it on the right one, but you can run it in stereo mode by taking the pre-outs from your processor, your receiver, your front and front your front left and right pre-outs, and going right in here using RCA cables. And in that case, it would be an ideal setup for two-channel music, essentially, because you'll have both your left and rights going into the sub, and then you can adjust the low pass filter, and even there is no high pass on here. I believe the high pass was on the app, but we're going to take a look at it when we go in there. But if you wanted to use it as line level, you could go left right in from your processor, your receiver, or you could use it as a dedicated LFE. Here are your controls, here are your inputs. You can take the output and then go into another preamp if you want, or you can run the output, the left and right output, into another sub if you wanted to choose to run it that way. And then fairly basic. And then after that, at the bottom, right down there, you have the power. It's a three-prong for the power for the back of the subwoofer. It does have the sledge amplifier, Class D amplifier technology, um, which puts out 800 RMS watts, and 2500 plus peak watts from the single 13-inch driver that's on this subwoofer. So it is a pretty it's pretty powerful in my opinion. And if you look at the specifications online, SVS does say that at 32 hertz it puts out about 125 dBs. So it's pretty powerful. So I'm actually very excited to see how this will perform as a single sub. Again, 800 watts RMS and 2500 plus peak power via the Class D amplifier, the sledge amplifier technology that they call as they call it, SBS does. So that's for the back. Okay, I'm going to turn this around. So for the front, ta-da! This thing is pretty heavy though. Here's the 13-inch driver. I believe it's about, don't quote me on this, but it's about 20 pounds or so. Just the sheer weight of the driver. I'm gonna look it up online, but that's what I read. And it's a single 13-inch driver in a sealed box. It's pretty inert in my opinion, and there's no hollowness all around this. I mean, it's pretty tightly sealed, and that's it. So the all of the sound is produced by this particular 13-inch driver using the Sledge Edge Class D amplifier technology, and that is it for the specs. It does come with a grill right here. I usually just leave the grill on because I'm afraid I'm just gonna run into it. So it goes in pretty snug, and then the sound path isolation feet are underneath right there, as you can see. So I did get these extra. I have them both on my SB16 Ultra and on the SB3000. It does a great job, of isolating the sound, and the bass from the floor. And produces good clean bass. So I do highly recommend that. I recommend that and the the wireless connector if you want to go down that path for this particular sub. And that's it. All right, so let me hook it up and put it through its paces, and we'll go from there.
These outsiders, the Harkonnens, came long before I was born. By controlling spice production, they became obscenely rich. Richer than the Emperor himself.
Here's the OmniMic reading as the sweep is happening. It's the strongest at around 830 hertz, and then usable output all the way down to 18 hertz over 90 dBs or so. The red curve is an average, right? Just goes to show how loud the 30 hertz frequency was. So next up was Blade Runner 2049, and it's the famous eyeball scene. Next up, I wanted to watch and listen to midway the Pearl Harbor attack scene. There is a constant 30 hertz bass tone sweep, whatever you want to call it, or constant bass around 30 hertz that you can feel, and is just omnipresent during the beginning of this or during the attack. And I wanted to see how a single SB-3000 would do in this particular case. So take a listen. The Navy ain't gonna pay you for that. All right, next I want to play some music. So I'm gonna play Lord, Pure Heroine from that album. I'm gonna play Royals, and this particular track has some really cool 30 hertz or so bass that's just constant, and this is a very good track if you want to demo your subs or your speakers. So take a listen. I can't play the whole thing here. Obviously, it's just gonna be a short little burst, but hopefully you'll get my point here. Point here is for music. I think this the fact that it's small and it's sealed, box sealed sub, uh, it produces much tighter bass. All right. Speaking of overall frequency response, uh, here is the Odyssey corrected curve that is in blue, and then the pure direct curve in red. Point of this is essentially to show you that the lowest frequency, or not the lowest frequency, but the sub is rated to go down to 18 hertz, and it does. 18 hertz is around 85 dBs. The strongest is between 30-35 hertz is around 87 and a half. So just a couple dB drop off by the time it gets to about 18 hertz, and then it just falls off. I mean, this kind of proves out the fact that you do get, audible amounts of bass right around that 30 hertz, where you can actually enjoy your music and movies. And then it will produce some low end as well, but not to the extent that a large subwoofer is going to do for you. But and then you can see in this curve, I have my dreaded 70 hertz dip. Yeah, I didn't talk about the SVS app in this review, but I have a video on that, which I'll post a description to below. All right. So how do I summarize this particular review? In 2 words, it's amazing, right? The SB-3000 is a great subwoofer if you want to integrate into music, and if you want to integrate into your home theater system. For music, it is awesome because it is a sealed cube, it's a sealed box, right? And the fact that it's a 13-inch driver, they use the sledge amplifier, Class D technology. It produces some really high dBs at that 30 hertz level, and it's tight and it's precise and it's accurate. So I had no problem integrating it in listening to it in 2 channels. Typically, if you add a sub for stereo music, the sub the bass gets bloated and it's all over the place. I did not feel that at all for this particular sub. It is musical as well, and that's why I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. For movies, I'm also going to give it a 9 out of 10. provided, with a caveat, provided it is in a small to medium sized room, right? So if you have a room that's, let's say, 60, if you're that's 16 feet deep and 12 or 14 feet wide, I do recommend adding two SB-3000s to get the full impact. Not because you're gonna get a deeper you know output from it, but because two subs generally will tend to not overwork that one sub, right? And you can kind of turn up the volume and not worry about having issues from a subwoofer standpoint. So this was a great review. I had a lot of fun doing this particular review, or specifically, I mean, if you saw some of the clips, I mean, I just put on streaming and I just went, movie after movie, and then I did evaluations using physical media as well, because I know streaming, you can get compressed audio and so on and so forth. But didn't matter what I played. The subwoofer did a great job. All right, so hopefully you like this video, and this was my first subwoofer review. It's not like I haven't evaluated subs before. My favorite sub of all time, is the Martin Logan uh, Balance Force 212, which I had in my last system. I pretty much had all of the Martin Logan subwoofers in my system at one point or another, going back to their Descent and their Depth Eyes and their the Grottos and the Abysses, and then I've had a bunch of Definitive Technology subwoofers in my system. Had a Rel in my system. So this I would actually compare the SB-3000 a lot to, it is a lot like the Rel Q150 that I used to have as my music sub, right? Because it was tight and it was tactile. It was tight and it was accurate, not tactile, but accurate for music, and that's how I feel like the SB-3000 is. Okay, so thank you for watching, and look forward to more videos like this.